Hello, Scott Schoen from the Family Martial Arts Academy here. Today I'll be sharing with you a simple memorization technique that is going to help your child to excel at school when they need to memorize things. Now, when we normally memorize things, we might use flashcards, we repeat them, we practice spellings, and all of those things are ways of information that our brain is not normally used to processing. Our brain isn't designed to remember letters or numbers or the spelling of a word. It works much better when it uses our senses. So one of the senses that we're going to use here is we're going to use our visualization. So when we visualize something that we want to remember, we're much more likely to remember it. The second thing to realize is that when you go to memorize something, or your child goes to memorize something, their brain tries to identify whether it's unusual or not and worthy of being remembered. So if it's something that doesn't seem unusual, then your brain will hold it in short-term memory for a little while, and then it lets it go. Now, if you repeat it a lot of times, of course, you can remember it, but it's only through that repetition that your brain goes, hey, this is unusual, I'm going to go ahead, or this is important, or unusual that we're repeating it so many times, so we're going to go ahead and remember it. So what you want to do is use your imagination to create a visual picture that is unusual, that has a lot of creativity in it, that isn't something that normally happens to you. Then it's going to be embedded in your long-term memory, and you'll have a much better chance of remembering it. And it's likely too that you'll remember it a lot quicker. You won't have to drill it many times, because you have made an image that automatically is something unusual and your brain remembers it. So let's talk about an example. So let's say you're parking your car and you've parked in row or section C, row 5. And you say to yourself, okay, section C, row 5, you might say it a couple times. I've even heard, if you say something 8 times, usually you'll remember it. But let's say you do that, you go into Walmart for a little bit, it takes longer than you thought, you get a call from your husband, an emergency comes out, up, you come out, and all of a sudden you forget where you parked your car. So now you're saying to yourself, I know I told myself to remember this, but I can't seem to remember it. And the reason is very simple, that just picturing or saying to yourself C5, that's very boring, it's not unusual, it's something that has no value for your brain to remember, even though you're saying, hey, this is important, I want to remember this. So the way to do it that I'm suggesting would be to imagine your car and then picture 5 cats crawling all over your car. Maybe some of the cats are on the roof, and some are on the trunk, and they're leaving footprints all over, and they're cleaning themselves, and they've ruined the hard work you did just to wash your car. And you run up to the car and you yell at the cats, get off this car, and they scatter. And you remember seeing 5 of them on top of your car. So now you've got this powerful image in your mind, and I'm guessing most of you saw some of that in your mind. Now, when you come out of Walmart, you say, where did I park my car? And then car triggers the image in your mind of all the unusual things that may have happened to your car. And you think, oh, I know one of them. There were 5 cats on top, and they were walking all over, and they were ruining my car. Man, was I angry. I ran up and threw them off the car. And so that would be something you would definitely remember. And when you come out, you're likely to remember the 5 cats. The cats, the C in cat represents the section C, and then the 5 cats represent the row, so row 5. And in this way, you're able to use your memory a lot more powerfully. You're much more likely to remember, and this is a technique that works great with kids because they love to imagine. And the more outrageous the image, then the more likely that you will remember it. And sometimes people might say, oh, this takes a lot of effort and time. Well, it takes a lot of effort and time to drill things too. And you're more likely to remember. I remember some of the things that I learned in college just because of these pictures that I made for them, and they still stick in my head, and it's been, too long, maybe, over a decade. And so just think about that idea, use it with your children. You might run into some challenges. If you do, ask me what to do, or be creative. If you don't remember that the C was for the section, then you can remember, one of the cats is curled up on the car in the letter C, and then that again triggers your mind and says, oh, why is he in that weird letter C shape? Oh, that's right, because the first letter of cat is for the section that we're in. So you play with it. It's a skill. You develop it over time. But the more you can imagine these things, the better your memory will improve. And it gives your children another tactic when it comes to memorizing things besides just sitting down and rote memorization, doing it over and over and over. So think about that, and I hope you benefit from this lesson.